Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the 2U's of 2U's Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at 2usfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our 2U's Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am Better in Motion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode. Good morning, Kelly.
Hey, Marsha. Long time since we last recorded. Actually, no.
I know.
Well, we recorded, but no one heard it.
I know. I feel really bad about that. It was you were very kind, but it was on my end.
Oh, don't worry.
I don't know. I have no idea what happened. But
the way I feel, and I listen to enough podcasts to know that this happens a lot. And I don't know if you realize, but as of the beginning of October, we've been podcasting 10 years.
Wow.
And this has only happened once. We had one close call. And I just had you resend it, and the resent version worked just fine. And that was it.
Oh, right.
So, I mean, once in 10 years, I'd say we're doing pretty good.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Also, when you said 10 years, my first thought was like, oh, yeah, and we're still just like, do you remember when you proposed this idea to me? I'm like, what are we going to talk about?
Yes.
Every 2 weeks. And 10 years later, we're still just yammering on about who knows what. But anyway.
Well, we still have things to talk about, right?
Really. Anyway. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll
go another 10 years
had a long discussion
before it happens again.
Yeah.
Right?
We won't go into all about what we think I did at my end. So, but anyway, I'm going to be careful this time. So, shall we? Should we just get into it?
Let's talk about our projects because we have a lot. Oh, I know what we need to talk about.
No,
first.
We can't. No, we're wrong because we're going to because what we did last time is we recorded the winners of the summer spin-in.
Yes.
But all of that was part of the lost episode. So we're going to re-announce it. So, Kelly, let's just do that right now.
Yes. Let's do that right now.
So we're not prepared. We have the list, but we didn't talk ahead of time about how we're going to announce it. So do you want to just do it?
Sure.
Or how do you want to?
I'll go ahead and talk about the prizes. So I'm gonna go through the list of prizes and talk about what they are first. I'm gonna put this list up in our episode thread in Ravelry, and so you can kind of keep track. If you go in Ravelry, you can keep track. And then we're just gonna have, once we announce the winners, those of you who won, when you get in touch with us to say, hey, I heard I won, let us know what your first and second choice prize is. And so they'll just be first come, first serve as they go. And then I'll cross them off in the episode thread as well so that people can see, if they want to, look in Ravelry to see, what's left when they hear, if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
I hope I made sense.
Makes sense to me.
Okay. I hope we made sense to everyone else. So we have a number of prizes. The first three that I'm going to list were all donated by Yarn Girl 52, Debbie, and they are alpaca from when she used to have alpacas and mill her yarn. So we have each of these is a 2 skein set of, mostly they look like worsted weight alpaca. The labels don't all say worsted weight, but they're all about 150 yards in a 2-ounce skein. So or 300 yards in a 4-ounce skein. So they're all about the same weight. So the first 2-pack of alpaca is a nice coral pink and a brown, like an orangey corally pink. And the brown, they go really nicely together. It's a regular pink and a brown that goes really nicely together, a lighter brown. And then the next one is a corally pink with a dark brown. And then the next batch of the alpaca is a teal color. And then there's also a gray heather with speckles, and some of the speckles are sort of that teal color. So those go together really well too. So each of those pairs of yarn is one prize, all donated by Yarn Girl 52. And we also have a skein. This is a fingering weight skein, kind of in the theme of alpaca here. A verb for keeping warm, 100 grams, 438 yards. This is baby alpaca merino. And this was donated by friend of the podcast, Dagmar. She's one of the people that we know from our retreat and used to live locally to us. And it's a pale purple gray color. And it was dyed with, naturally dyed by Verb for Keeping Warm with logwood. So it's really a pretty skein of yarn in alpaca. And then sticking with the alpaca theme, we also have a prize donated by Kathy Straight Fork from Ohio. She's a frequent contributor to our discussion threads. She just got a new puppy, Marsha.
Oh, really?
She has a new Australian Shepherd puppy. Anyway, getting back to the prizes, she has donated an 8-ounce bump of roving, and she calls it swirl, and it's 3 natural colors of alpaca, blended, not blended, fully blended together in the roving, but together in the roving. So you can kind of see those colors swirling through the roving. So those are our prizes donated, alpaca prizes donated from our listeners. And then we also have Tunis roving from Tar Heel Billy Farms, and it's 5.5 ounces. It's white. It's kind of a creamy white color. And then very similar fiber, California Red from Valley Oak Wool Mill, and there's an 8-ounce bump, or there's 8 ounces of, I think it's 2 bumps of the California Red fiber, totaling 8 ounces, and it's also a creamy white color. So we've got the 3 alpaca yarn skein pairs that are in the worsted-ish weight. We've got the fingering weight alpaca merino. We've got the alpaca roving. We've got Tunis roving, 5.5 ounces, and California Red roving, 8 ounces. Those are the prizes that you can choose from.
Okay. All right. And then we pulled from the finished object thread. Should we list the winners from the finished object thread?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, and then we'll do we pulled also from the discussion thread. So, do you want me to read them or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
you
so
read the finished object thread winners, and I'll do the discussion thread winners.
Okay, all right. So, Super Kip, Natalie.
All right.
Yay! Knitting Bandit 1. I'm going to say that again. Knitting Bandit 1, Lorna.
All right.
Mimi Fan, Pelly.
Yay.
And Rubrics, Sheila.
All right. So each of you go ahead and get in touch. 2use@2usefiberadventures.com is our email address. Or you can message me on Ravelry 100 Projects. Or you can message me on Instagram, also 100 Projects.
Yeah.
Okay. And let us know which of those prizes.
Then you can read the names that we pulled from the discussion thread.
Okay. So the discussion thread winners, we had a very large discussion thread because the discussion was going on, all summer long. And the winners from that thread are Hockey Rachel, Sal Pal, Sarah, and Grable, Amanda. So please get in touch, and thank you to everyone who participated in the summer spin-in. It was really fun seeing all of your projects, and it's super inspiring. And I know that I was able to clear out boxes of fleece and get things spun and get things carded and get things sorted because I had the inspiration of all of you guys.
Yeah. And so, Kelly, this is out of order, but I think let's just announce that the winter weave along, because people know that we do this every year.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Since we were talking about, let's just announce it. So it's underway. It's officially starting today. We're recording November 3rd. It ends March 31st, 2025. And we'll put the same thing we always do every year is have a discussion thread and then a thread for finished objects. So do you have any idea what you're going to be working on during the winter weave along?
Trailer curtains.
Okay.
I have got to get that done. We went to the trailer rally. So now this is the third rally that we've been to at Pismo, not counting the one where we picked up the trailer. The third November rally that we've been to at Pismo. And the first one, we didn't have the back curtains. And then that was the year you came with us. And then, and we didn't have front curtains. Last year we had some of the back curtains, but not all of them. Because I was trying to do something with a tablecloth that didn't work. And then this year we have all the back curtains in. The bedroom curtains are all done, but I never got to the front, the front of the trailer curtains. So that's what I need to be working on this winter. I need to get those done. I was trying to get them done during the summer, but it just didn't happen. I had too much spinning to do. There was a lot of dog stuff happening in the summer too. That I have reasons. I have very good reasons, but I have got to get on the ball and get those curtains done. So that's my main project. But of course, there will be dish towels, I'm sure. So we'll see. I'm going to. I bought a kit. Do you remember when I first started weaving? I bought a kit, but I couldn't do it on the first loom that I had because it was direct tie up. I don't understand. I'm still learning, but I couldn't. I had to change the tie up to weave those towels, if you recall. Yes.
Do you remember?
Yeah. They needed six. They needed 6 treadles. And you only had 4.
Right. So now I have the different loom, a new loom that I can do that. So I may start those. Also because Kim, her retirement gift to herself is she bought the baby wolf. And we had been sharing equipment. So she took her shuttle. We each had bought shuttles. So we'd have 2 when we were weaving. She took hers with her. Obviously, I have mine, but I wanted a second one. So I went to Eugene Textiles Center to order a new one, and I also bought a kit. So I think I may warp the loom for that second kit, the one I bought at Eugene Textiles. And I'm going to have to figure out some sort of... She also took the bench that goes with the... We got a free bench, so she took the bench for her loom. So I have to figure out something to sit on. I also going to say, though, as you know, I may have talked about this before, but my son's been kind of, Ben's been kind of in and out, like living here and not living here, living here, not living here. He's now officially not living here. He rented a house with 3 other young men. So he moved everything out of his bedroom in the basement, and I've decided I'm going to turn that into my weaving studio. So my brother came one day and helped me get the loom into the bedroom. I had to take the door off the bedroom to and take the loom apart a little bit to get it in there. So it's not coming out anytime soon. So it's in there. And so I'm going to start kind of organizing that room, because Ben still has a few things in there that he has to come and get. And then I can really get that room set up. And I'm going to get some additional lighting, that one of those, I think, those OTT lights that have really good lighting. I'm going to get one of those. So I'm kind of excited. So I'm part of the Winter Weave Along is just, I think, to get that room set up so I can weave and find a good bench or stool or something to sit on, while I'm weaving. So, good. I'm excited about it. So I think the first thing I think I'm just going to do a kit, because I really learned a lot on that alpaca shawl or piece or whatever it was that I made, but I don't love it. I want to just I want to make something I'm just going to like, I learned a lot, but now it's just, I want to just make something that I like. So I'm kind of excited about that. I'm excited about the Winter Weave Along this year. I'm hoping I'll get that room set up and I can, because as you know, every time, like since I've had the loom, the Winter Weave Along, Kim had her project on the loom. I could never weave.
Right.
But she had 8
It was a long
she's made
warp,
a total of 12 towels or something. I only made 2 in that whole time that we were sharing. So I'm kind of excited about this winter, having a space and having my own loom. I think it's going to be nice.
That'll be really good, yeah.
Anyway. Okay. Well, does that lead us into projects?
Yes.
Do you want to talk yours or?
Sure.
Because we have 2 episodes of projects to go
I know,
through.
really. Well, yeah. Thinking about the projects, I don't have it seems like I would have a lot of projects from 2 episodes, but it's the same projects that I'm working on. So, I finished a pair of socks. So these are the Desert Lavender was the colorway of Smirligan's yarn. This is the yarn that you bought when you were down and when you went to Palm Springs when you did the trip. So when would that have been? When did you come?
April.
Okay. So I got this yarn from you in April, and I finished them. So they're in my drawer right now. Ready to wear. I don't think I've worn them since I put them in the drawer, but they've been in there for a little while. I hadn't finished them as of the Lost episode, but I have finished them now. And because I don't have a pair of socks now on the needles, I'm thinking about, I want to watch, some of the election coverage, and a pair of socks would be good for that. So I'm thinking that I'm going to use my Pearl 2 Walla Walla coconut tree, get that, into a ball of yarn so that I can make a pair of socks, for all of the election watching. I've on my graffito. I'm kind of in the same place on all these things. I finished the socks, but haven't started the next one. The graffito, I finished the body, and it's now, the pattern is now calling for me to do the ribbing at the bottom, but I need to try it on first before I can tell if that's the length that I want. So that's been stopped for a while. I was thinking I would maybe make the sleeves before I finished the body. Just because, I don't know why I thought that, but I did think that. And I brought it to the Pismo rally. I brought extra needles and the try-it-on tubing, and I thought, oh, okay, I'll put the body on the tubing, and I'll just get started on the sleeves. And of course, I never did that because I find myself in these places on projects where and it's not like it's too hard, but I get to a place where it's just like, it's not picking it up to knit.
You have to think about it.
Well, and it's not even a lot of thinking, really, to pick up stitches to do a sleeve or to put it on tubing or waste yarn so I can try it on. Like, but there was no mirror. I mean, I didn't think of this. There's no mirror in the trailer. There's not really that good of a mirror in the restroom, which is why it was good that I brought the extra needles so I could just, put it on the tubing and start the sleeves, right? I don't need to make a decision about the ribbing yet. I could just start the sleeves, but I didn't. I don't know. It just, do other people have that where you get to a certain point and there's nothing difficult you have to do, right? There's nothing really difficult. It's not like you have to figure out a mistake or you have to rip back and try to, do sweater surgery or anything like that. It's not even unpleasant. Like, how hard is it to put it on, try it on? It should be exciting to try on my sweater, right? It's not even unpleasant. It's just like a stalling point, I don't know. It just, I don't really understand it, but momentum has been lost. And that's kind of where I am on the sweater. It's been sitting in
It's
the
like
bag.
runners talk about they hit the wall. Maybe that's what you've done is you just, because you've been working on it. I mean, it's fingering weight on size 3s. At least that's what I'm doing mine on anyway. Yeah. And you're kind of you're past the yoke that has all that interesting stuff you're doing.
Maybe. Although I don't feel like I was bored with it. It's kind of more like thinking about running. It's kind of more like you're running and, well, this is me because I'm not much of a runner, but you're running and things are going really well. And then there's a stoplight and you have to stop. And once you stop, it's kind of like, okay, well, now I'm going to walk across the street and I'll just keep walking instead of running. It's like kind of like that. Like, oh, well, I stopped.
Okay,
So
I have another analogy. I have another
Okay.
analogy. Is that what that is? An analogy? Have you ever had the experience when you're reading a book and you like the book so much, it's so good, and you don't want it to end?
Yes.
That you stop reading it? Okay, maybe it's that. Maybe you've enjoyed this sweater so much and you're getting closer and closer and closer to the end and you just don't want it to finish. Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. I doubt it, but
I don't know. I think maybe people all have different reasons for getting stalled on projects, but yeah, my stalling point is always something that's different from just picking it up and starting to knit. That's always my stalling point. I don't know why. So anyway, that's been sitting in the bag for a while. And then my vest, I actually made it through quite a few stalling points on this maple vest because I started knitting it. I picked, I started the project because I wanted to have something other than my sweater. So I had multiple choices to work on while we were on the road. To the reunion. And so I started this sweater and got it going. And then when we got to the reunion, I lifted it up and showed it to you and said, this looks a little too small, right? And you were like, yes. And so I ripped it out and started over. That was not a starting point. Like, I did that immediately, right? Just while we were just sitting out there. You said, yes, it looks too small. I said, okay, I started ripping it. And then I cast it back on immediately. So that wasn't a stopping point. And so it's really interesting. I like the construction of this a lot. It was kind of fun. You do the back, you start the back and then you pick up stitches for the front. And then you went down the back, you went down the front. And then you join it under the arms.
So stop for 1 second. This is the vest, the maple vest you're talking about?
Yeah, this is the maple vest.
Okay.
And I'm using my hand-spun Shetland. I'm using hand-spun Shetland, and I'm holding it double. Oh, and this is the other thing. I'll get back to the where I am in this, the pattern of this one. But this project didn't even have a stall when I looked at the yarn and said, wow, I made these skeins of fingering weight 3-ply Shetland yarn. And now I'm going to waste all that work by putting the two strands together, held double. Why didn't I just make worsted weight yarn?
Right.
Like that, right. That didn't even stop me. I went, oh, that's all right. I enjoyed making it. And I think I want to use this for my vest. And I started it. So some things stall me and other things don't. I don't quite understand it. But anyway, I joined under the arms, and then you go a little ways and then you split again. Because it's kind of a I don't know, unconstructed would be the right word, or it's like a vest, but then it splits right under the arms, about 3 inches, 2 inches under the arms, it splits. And so it has a front panel and a back panel. So I've split, I've gone all the way to the bottom of the front panel. I think it's the front. Yes. All the way to the bottom of the front panel. And at the bottom of the front panel, there's ribbing. So I'm in the ribbing of the front panel. And I think I have a mistake. I have it in my hands right now. The ribbing has cables in it. They're not really cables. They're more like traveling stitches that make these little V shapes that remind me of wheat more than maple. So I have a little bit of a mistake. I had a mistake in those traveling stitches. And so I ripped 2 rows out this morning and I started again, and I'm noticing that it's not looking quite right. So I think I need to rip back. So now I'm going backwards, knitting backwards, unknitting. And I think I'm going to have to go, I think I'm going to go back just a couple more rows, and start again on this. And that's not even stopping me. I'm just knitting back, right? So I don't know. It's the things that stop me are kind of weird, but I'm enjoying this vest. It's going to be very warm because the 2 strands held double is heavier than if you had just knitted a worsted weight yarn, I think. So, but I like it. I love the color.
But you've got the construction of it. You've got vents on the side, right? I mean, it's open kind of, So you'll have airflow that way, so you won't get too warm.
I don't think so. And I'm planning to wear it over. I only have 3 blouses, and all 3 of them are very old. One of them is a blouse that I have since I was, I don't know, I think I was in high school. That's made out of... Yes. Yes.
Okay. And you still wear it?
No. I haven't worn it in a really long time. But it's... I'm
sorry. Kelly, I'm laughing because that's a really old blouse, because we just attended our 40th college reunion.
Yes. This is a very old blouse. When my dad was married to his second wife, one of the things we did as a family trip, I was in high school with his family, was we went down to LA and we went to San Francisco and we did this shopping trip. And it was kind of strange because we didn't do that. I mean, we went first day of school shopping, but his wife really liked to shop. And so we went to all these places in San Francisco, and it was like, oh, buy this, she was helping, buy this, buy this, buy this. And I wasn't really much of a shopper. But I bought, so I got in that shopping trip, I got a couple of things. Some of them are gone. The pants are gone. I wore those things to death. And there was something else that I got that I can't remember, that I obviously don't have because I can't even remember what it was. But I got a dress that's wool, like a shirt waist dress in brown plaid wool. I still have that. and I got a blouse that was raw silk. And so I still have this blouse. I wore it a lot. It has a small hole that I think I might do some visible mending, interesting thing to. I don't know. But I could wear it under this vest, is my point. So this blouse that I don't ever wear, I could wear under this vest. And then I have 2 linen blouses. One's brown and one's magenta. And I don't often wear those either, but I could wear them under this vest. So I have 3 blouses that I'm thinking I could wear. If I have this vest, I could wear those blouses. Because I don't wear them. I don't wear them. I don't, because you have to tuck them in. Okay, this is going way too long on my fashion, my lack of fashion. You have to tuck them in, right? Like blouses look kind of funny if you don't tuck them in, if you just wear them untucked.
Right.
But all of my pants are too low to be tucked in.
Right.
And so there was a whole period of time where I could tuck nothing into pants because they seemed too low. Now I have pants that are a little bit higher, but still they don't it doesn't tuck in very well.
You have to do that thing now where they just tuck the front in, or one half of the front in.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I have. I don't know. I think I'm too old to do that. or two.
Maybe the blouse is too old to do that.
Yeah, really. So anyway, the way this pattern shows on the pattern page is worn over a blouse that's not tucked in, but it looks good. I think it looks good.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, this will solve my problem of I can't wear these blouses because they don't really tuck in very good. So we shall see. I am not that fashion savvy. This is my problem.
No.
But I do really love that blouse, the silk blouse, and I would really like to do something with it, like to fix the hole so that I could wear it. Although I probably wouldn't, because blouses they don't feel warm and cozy when you put them on. This is the real reason. A blouse doesn't feel warm and cozy when you put it on. A long sleeve t-shirt feels much more warm and cozy than a blouse. That's the real reason they sit in my closet and don't get warm. So, and a wool dress, it was the most itchy thing. Like, why? I don't wear dresses.
I'm surprised you still have the wool dress, honestly, because of your feelings about wool. Or, your skin, how your skin reacts to wool.
I really do love it. It's very nice. It was very expensive. And I was like really super proud to have it when when I bought it at age 16, I don't know, something like that. And so I've just kept it, and it's the kind of a style that doesn't go out of style, right? A shirtwaist dress, like it's basically a shirt that's just long. I could really wear it. I could wear it with tights. I could wear it, and my skin isn't as sensitive as it used to be. I could wear it with a camisole underneath. Yeah. I just don't wear dresses. I don't think to wear a dress. It's just not. Yeah. But I do like this particular dress a lot. I just don't wear it. Okay. It's just one of those things that's, it's some kind of clutter, identity clutter, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure what kind of clutter it is, but it's definitely part of my clutter. So, all right. So moving along, the maple vest is going. I'm backing up a little bit to fix a mistake, but I really am going to enjoy this vest. And thank you to Tracy for the pattern.
Okay. I'm going to interject something about clutter just because I'm proud of my decluttering. So I texted you this last night that yesterday I got rid of the 1920s gas stove that had been sitting in the garage for 40 years. So I won't go into a whole thing about it, but it's been sitting out there. My dad got it. You know, as everybody knows, I live in the house that I grew up in, and my dad got it from his former secretary when she moved, and it's been sitting out there. And then that was with this whole garage redo. It had to go, and we had a whole conversation about. It's not the identity clutter. It's, what do you call it? The, not fantasy clutter, but what was the thing about, you know, like you aspirational, I think it was aspirational clutter, things that you think you're going to do something. And I remember I thought, I'm going to make a dye studio out there. And so I kept hanging on to it. And I remember I just said, I'm not doing that. I'm never doing a dye workshop in my garage ever. And so it took me a long time. It took me, was this 4 months, I think, to get rid of it. But I finally found someone I sold it to someone. So
that's big.
So that's just when we were talking about, you know, your aspiration. No, your, what is it? Identity clutter. I actually had aspirational clutter that I got rid of, and it felt really good. Yeah. Okay. That's just a side note.
No,
because you were mentioning about clutter.
I think that kind of clutter is what a lot of people, I mean, I think that's the reason that a lot of people keep that kind of thing, right? I when I was doing the Master Gardener thing, seeds. It's like people would bring seeds, and the whole room would go crazy. Like, okay, seriously. Seeds are not that expensive. But like, you can get trampled.
Really? Oh.
In the rush. If someone, you know, when someone brought a box of seeds like they've been saving all these seeds, keeping all these seeds, and somebody would bring a box, because we always had, you know, trade and giveaway stuff. They had a whole patio, and we would bring out stuff. But if somebody brought a box of seeds, you would like get out of the way, or you might be trampled. and I had to laugh because we all have them. All of us had seeds, because a seed packet has way more seeds than you need.
Right.
For the garden, for your family, right? I mean, I know because I've planted a whole seed packet of cucumbers. And basically that year, all I planted were cucumbers and beans, because I decided I was just going to use the whole seed packet, right? And so the only thing I had room for was cucumbers and beans, which was fine. But anyway, so we all had them, right? Plus then you keep, you keep the extras from the seed packet, plus sometimes you save seeds from the things you grew. It's like,
right.
But there's so much aspiration in seeds, right? There's so much like hope and future and what you could do with it. Like, and you don't even have to do anything except put it in the ground. It's not like a fleece where you have to card it and wash it and spin it, knit it. So anyway, I totally understand about that kind of aspirational clutter.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, that is a long way.
Back to your project.
Yeah. Well, that's a long way of talking about 3 projects. One that I finished.
So now that's it for your project?
Marsha, go ahead. Take it away.
Okay.
Please, take it away.
This is not that much, but it's surprising. Because we lost an episode. So anyway, I have 2 finished projects.
Yay.
And they're exactly the same. So I made the Auckland bound hat by Maddie Moe. And I used this is what I was knitting on at the, when we were at the reunion. And I used the Alaskan Yarn Company DK in a colorway Spruce. And that I bought when I was up in Alaska, that yarn.
All right.
And then, I made the exact same hat, for Ben for his birthday. And I used Hazel Knit's Cadence DK in the colorway Wonderland Trail. And I gave it was yesterday, November 2nd was his birthday. So I gave it to him, and he really, really loved the hat. Because I've had a difficulty with Ben and hats. Either they're too big, and not stretchy and like, they're too big and they just fall off his head. Or I made one that was just so tight that it would just pop off the top of his head. So this one, he was super happy with it. It fits really well. I would recommend that pattern. And I believe it's a free pattern. Actually, I don't remember now. I think it's free, but it's a nice pattern because you do a 1x1 rib for about 4.5 inches. Let me back up. You do a provisional cast on, then you do a 1x1 rib for about a little over 4 inches. Then you fold it in half and you knit the stitches that were on the provisional cast on, you knit with your working stitches. And so it makes a double layer around the ears. And then you continue knitting the hat, but you do it in a broken rib. And so it makes a really nice, squishy hat.
Yeah, the fabric is really nice.
Yeah. So, and I think I like it a little bit better in the yarn, the Hazel knits, than I do in the Alaskan Yarn Company. I love the Alaskan Yarn Company yarn. I really like it. But I think that the Hazel knits, the base is a little, when I say this, it's a little less fuzzy. So it's the stitch definition is a bit more pronounced. I still like both hats though. But anyway, those are done.
All right.
Then, as you know, I've been working on the emotional support chicken. And I think the last time we talked before the lost episode, I was not happy with one of the stripes I put in, but we talked and just decided to plow ahead. So I'm about ready to start the head, the shaping for the head. And I think in that episode, I was talking about how I thought it'd be really fun to give this chicken to Ben, but make it a rock climbing chicken. So I don't remember if I talked about this or not, but anyway, I did go and I found online little tiny mini carabiners.
Oh, cute. So
I bought the carabiners, and then I'm going to do the that braid that you can make in that with the spool with the 4 little nails in it.
Yeah.
We talked about this, and I can't remember now what it's called, but you can make I'm going to make that like climbing rope and wrap it around like
it's kind of like
across the body of the chicken. Yeah, like I-cord kind of, yeah. And then I have to figure out how to make like a little climbing helmet for the chicken. So it did not get done for his birthday because I was gone, but I'm going to try and get it done for him for Christmas. I think it's funny and cute.
Yeah.
He's going to probably think it's ridiculous. But anyway, that doesn't matter. I'm going to have fun doing it. And then, again, I don't remember if I talked about this before, but I cast on Why Not by Rachel Illsey after we had a whole conversation in one episode about Rachel Illsey. I really love the pattern. And I had yarn that I bought at Weird Sisters Wool Emporium in Carroll in the colorway Westport Treasures. And it was perfect for that sweater. It still is perfect for that sweater. I cast on twice and had to rip out twice. And I thought, this is not the time to be knitting on that sweater first. And I think the pattern is you cast on and you immediately do a lateral braid and then you immediately do something else and you immediately do something else. And there's no grace period of just doing some stockinette.
Yeah.
And they're all new stitches that I have never done before. And so it didn't look very good. And so that's why I ripped it out and then I did it again and it still didn't look very good. So I think what I need to do is I did a swatch for gauge, but now I think I need to do a separate swatch where I just do some stockinette, practice the lateral braid, then practice the next one, which I don't even have the pattern in front of me to know what the next thing I'm supposed to do, so that I can practice on that before I go do the real thing.
That makes sense.
On the, so that's just, it's still in my projects, but it's taking it's taking a vacation. It's going on hiatus while and then right now I cast on, before I went to my trip to New York, which I'm going to talk about. Before I went, I cast on another Ames beanie this is for myself, and it's by the designer Stephanie Larson. And I've made this a bunch of times, but I'm using the Pearls Before Swine Hometown Worsted in the colorway Sea Glass, and that's the yarn we bought at Knit to Walla Walla our reunion trip.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sitting working on it now, and I'm on it's a cabled hat, and I think I'm on the last cable. I mean, the last set of stitch it. What am I trying to say? The cabling makes up 8 rounds, and I'm on that last section of 8 rounds. Excuse me, before I start the decreases.
Oh, nice.
So I'm working on that. But then I have to talk about graffito, because I cast on graffito to bring with me on my trip to New York, because I was going to work on that. And Kelly, that is an interesting but challenging pattern. So as you know, and I've got the pattern here, and a huge part of the appeal is that you have this really interesting yoke, as you've talked about, where you talked about in one of the episodes how there's I don't know how many sections there are now. Is there 5 different sections? I think,
I don't
or more.
remember, but you keep doing different things. Yeah,
you keep doing different things, and very interesting. Really interesting. And again, you said like you wanted to finish that interesting section so you could get on to the next interesting section. Mm-hmm. And that's 100% true. I will say though, let me see, you start out with short row for the yoke, you cast on, but then you do short row shaping. I did all of that before I left. And then on the trip, I did the eyelet stitch pattern, no problemo. But then you do brioche. Yes. And I've never done brioche before.
Me either, yeah.
And so I did a lot of times with these things, there's like the setup row you have to do. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I did the first 2. When we were sitting in a lake house, so Kim's cousin lives on a lake, and she has a cute little cabin that she operates as an Airbnb. And so we were staying in that little cabin. But too much talking, too many martinis, too much wine, and again, back to too much talking, and then too little light, and it's now midnight. Yeah. I finally thought, I cannot deal with this at all. I have to just put it away. So I didn't knit on it the whole trip then after, because that was midway through the trip, I think. And I thought, I can't even look at that brioche until I get home and I have good light and there's nobody talking. There's nobody around me talking. I can't even watch Netflix or YouTube or even have the radio on. Right. Nothing. So I came home and I got through
I was going to say, I did my yoke, almost the entire yoke, sitting in the chair in the sunroom. By myself. Yeah. It's not impossible. It's just that it's not Netflix knitting or social knitting. You need to pay attention.
It's not retreat knitting.
You need to mark off you need to pay attention.
And it's
you need
definitely
to mark off your rows. You need to make sure you have the right number of stitches.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I finally, a lot of times with my knitting too, even though they don't tell you to do this, I put in markers like every 25 rows just so I could count, because and then in the middle of all this you're doing increases and what I was going to say too, it's definitely not martini knitting for sure. Anyway, okay, so anyway, I'm back on track and I've now done I got through and I really like brioche too. By the end of it, I think brioche is a great stitch. It's really interesting. I was going to look and see if it'd be kind of fun to do like a hat out of brioche, if I can find a pattern. And but I'm now down to, go ahead.
And I remember, I seem to remember that brioche section, you went down a needle size.
Yes.
Which I thought was really interesting. But I think I understand it because later on in the yoke, you do just like one stitch of brioche. And it makes a little, it makes like a little textury part, like a little textury part. Okay. Not the baubles, but another thing that you do, like little speckles. Anyway.
Okay.
I thought that was really interesting that you had to go down in needle size to do the little brioche part.
Yeah. And I have to say the little baubles were hard too, because the way the baubles are made is you knit into the front. You know how the stitch has a V. A knit stitch has a V. And so you knit into the front of the right side of the V, do a yarn over, and then knit into the front of the left V. Then when you come back around, you purl all three of those together. Now, the stitch that you've created on the right and the stitch you've created on the left are really easy to pick up and purl, but that yarn over is impossible. It took me about 2 hours to get around that. Okay. Anyway, but now I'm on the part.
We're making this pattern sound so good, so pleasant.
Yeah, really. Because we're trying to make it. The term was we're trying to make it blow up on Ravelry, and have everybody make it. But it's really it's a very interesting pattern, and it's cute too. I mean, it's a really cute sweater. But I'm now doing the. I just finished the. Where am I? What do they call the, oh, here, I'm on the wrong page, I think. Oh, no.
I don't remember what any of it is called. It's been in my bag so long.
The slip stitch. The slip stitch pattern where you slip one stitch, but you knit 3, and you do that for 4 rounds. So that slip stitch gets really long.
Oh, right.
And then you do like a cable to make that long stitch slant one direction. Mm-hmm. I know that sounds crazy what I'm describing, but it is. I would recommend this pattern. It really is it's fun. I mean, I'm not making it sound fun, but it really is fun once you get going on it. It's fun. It's not for martinis, no. Okay, so that's it for me for projects, and then I just want to add I'm picking up. I don't know if I'm starting a new hobby or if I'm picking up an old hobby, but I've been wanting to get back into sewing, and I have a bunch of. When I was up in Alaska, I bought a whole bunch of. I say a whole bunch. I think I bought 8 different little pieces of fabric that all kind of coordinate together, and I was going to make napkins out of them, and anyway, I have my mother's sewing machine. I've talked about this before. I think it's from 1945. And I've had it serviced and it's in great working order. And I thought, that's great. I'm going to start sewing on it. And just as, this is what the universe sent me this, because just as I was thinking about, I'm going to get down there and I'm going to sew. And my hairstylist texted me and said she was selling her sewing machine, and did I know anybody, because I know all these people who do crafting things, maybe somebody was interested in buying it. And I said, yeah, I can contact this group and everything. And then I said, well, I'm kind of interested in it. So make a long story short, I bought her sewing machine, and she's a quilter. So it's a Bernina. I think it's a 3000. It doesn't matter. It's a very nice machine, and it's one of those things that just does it'll measure the button to then make the buttonhole, and it's pretty. And she gave me all these different feet, and so anyway, and she came by and spent 2 hours with me. She brought the machine over, and we spent 2 hours in the kitchen. She was showing me all the features, and I thought, okay, this thing is very expensive. I don't really need it. I have a sewing machine. I don't think I'm going to buy it. But then, like, sometimes when you have anything that's just really nice, you understand why, why you want something really nice. And then in the middle of all this, because I said Ben has moved out, and he took my mother's sewing machine with him, with my permission, because he sews, right? Yeah. And I thought, I think the universe sent this new sewing machine to me. So I'm kind of excited about it. And I'm going to talk about Rhinebeck, but when I was in New York, I went to, I believe it was in Beacon, New York. There was a very nice fabric store, and I bought 2 patterns. And the pattern company is Liesl and Company, Liesl and Company. And I bought 2 blouses. One's kind of like a tunic. And so anyway, I'm going to try sewing again.
Nice.
I'm kind of excited about this. So, anyway, cool. I'll report in about the machine. So, anyway, the other thing, because this is going to be a long episode, but I just want to touch briefly about going to the New York State Sheep and Wool Festival, which is officially called, but everybody just calls it Rhinebeck. I just want to touch base on that.
Yeah, because you did that after the last episode.
Yes. Yeah. And I think we recorded the day before I left. That might be why I screwed up with the technology. I was frantically getting out of town. I have to say, I also did something, this is aside from, this is not about Rhinebeck, but usually I've just relied on my brother or Ben to take care of Enzo. And this time I contacted a friend of Ben's who said he couldn't do it, but his cousin might be interested. And so I hired her, and she was fantastic. And she stayed in the house and took care of Enzo for almost 14 days. And she would send me pictures. And it was really funny because the first few pictures, he looks like, you know how when we know our dogs really well. We know we can read their expressions. And the first couple of photos she sent, I could tell he looked sort of like, what the heck is going on? Like, who is this woman? They had met. He looked kind of slightly worried. And then like day 5, she sends a picture of me, to me of him, where she's sitting in the chair in the TV room. She's sitting in the chair, and he's got his head on her knee and he's gazing at her with this adoration in his life. I mean, he's like in love with her. And I'm like so jealous that he's having an affair with the dog sitter. Anyway. Anyway, it worked out great. And it was really nice to just feel that he was in good hands. Yeah. Like I didn't have to worry about the dog. Yeah. It was nice. Anyway, so the trip, most of it was we just flew into Newark and rented a car. And most of the time we were up in, I guess they call it upstate New York, and seeing all the fall foliage. And we went to a whole bunch of historic homes. I won't go through the whole list of everything we did in terms of the historic homes and the art museums. I can just put links in the show notes. Because it's a lot to describe. It was really fun, though, to see a lot of these homes. And I think that they're littered across New York State, all these big homes where it was everyone's watching the Gilded Age on TV. Right now, there's a lot of the Gilded Age, the Vanderbilts and the Gettys, and all these people had all this money. Carnegie, they all have houses there. So we visited some of those, and then smaller, quaint houses, and like Eleanor Roosevelt's home, which is very, very modest and charming. So that was all really fun. Other things we did was we went to the Culinary Institute of America and had dinner there. That was really fun. And so high culinary, food, and then all the way down to this place we went up to Connecticut to visit Kim's cousin on the lake, and they said we had to go to this place called Shady Glen. Does not sound like a restaurant to me. It sounds like a cemetery, but anyway, or a nursing home or something. But they specialize in hamburgers that have this big piece of cheese, like it's 3 times the size or 4 times the size of the hamburger, that they put on a grill, so it's all kind of crispy and toasted. I remember, and then they drape it over the burger. I posted a picture of it. I've never had anything like that before in my life. So we had everything from the CIA down to Shady Glen in terms of food. It was really fun. We did walks. We did a really interesting, it's the walk over the Hudson. So when we went to Rhinebeck, we actually stayed in Poughkeepsie, New York, and they have an old train trestle that's been converted into a walking trail. So you can walk across the Hudson River on the, it's called Walk Over the Hudson, has its own website.
Someone else
that was really fun.
Did that. I saw on Instagram, someone else who I follow. Like you maybe even did it on the same day. Or maybe I just saw the pictures on the same day, but yeah, I can't remember now who it was, but anyway, it was funny to see that the Hudson River Bridge, twice in my Instagram feed, like within hours of each other.
Yeah. Another walk, we started across the Hudson River, and I do not recommend this. And I'm sorry to anybody who lives in the area and this is your favorite walk, but the Tappan Zee Bridge, it's not called the Tappan Zee anymore. I think it's officially like the Mario Cuomo Bridge, I think, but I think everybody calls it the Tappan Zee. But you can walk across that. I do not recommend that because the cars are going across there.
Oh, the other
so
one
it
is
was
just
it was
walking,
highly
right?
Yeah, there's no traffic on it all. It's a decommissioned train trestle. So this one, people who live here in the Seattle area, you can walk across the 520 bridge. That's exactly what it's like. Not pleasant. It's noisy. It smells bad. So I'm sorry if I offend anybody who lives near there. I would not recommend that. If there's so many beautiful areas to walk in the area, I don't know why you would walk across that, unless you had to for a fundraiser. Anyway, but I just about the festival. It was fun to go and see it. I've heard so much about Rhinebeck for years. It was really fun to see it. It was really fun. I say some of the highlights. I would say it was fun just to see all the sweaters on people because it would start out in the morning kind of cool. It would get pretty hot, high 70s, almost up to 80 one day. It is just 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, but really fun to see the sweaters. Andrea Mowry each year they have a Rhinebeck sweater, and she did the design, and it's called, let me look at my notes. It's,
is that the one with the multicolor?
Yes. I wrote, it's, Framed is what it's called.
Okay.
And it looks sort of like a patchwork quilt kind of.
Yeah.
Like a quilt, like an old fashioned quilt. And it was really fun to see all those sweaters together and what everybody did, their interpretation of the pattern. Some people made it sleeveless. Some people made it with long sleeve, short sleeves. Some people made it into a cardigan. It was really interesting to see what everybody did, all their color choices, and then how they modified the pattern. Some people made it exactly in the yarns that she that she made it in. So it was fun to see all of that. And then just to see all the sweaters that people were wearing and the unusual sweaters. The food was really good. The only thing we ate there, because it was recommended that we bring our own lunch, especially on Saturday, which we did. But we did have, I don't remember which day. Oh, I know Saturday we had a pretzel and a beer. That was fantastic. I have to say that pretzel was so good. And then we did have the cider donuts that everybody kept going on and on and on about these cider donuts. And we had cider donuts at a cider orchard, where they were selling cider, and they were selling these cider donuts. And okay, they're just donuts in my mind. But they had been made maybe the day before. They were cold. They're like hot, fresh. They're super soft and fluffy inside, but crispy on the outside. And I thought, okay, I kind of get it now. Why people are crazy for these cider donuts, because they really, really were quite good, delicious. If anybody ever goes to Rhinebeck, I did not know this until we went to a yarn shop in Cornwall, New York. And I'll talk about that in a second. But she said 30,000 people attend this festival. I had no idea. How many people go to this. And it's crazy busy on Saturday, especially. And Kim wanted to go to a specific potter, Jenny the Potter. And I think we waited 45 minutes in line. And then when you go through the booth, it's kind of like you're on a conveyor belt. You just grab what you can grab because there's no going back there's no real shopping. So I would say that part of it is just Saturday was kind of a feeding frenzy of shopping. It was crazy in there, and not that part. It felt strange. It just felt really strange how frantic it was.
Yeah.
It felt. We went back Sunday, and it was much chiller and more relaxed. But if you go back Sunday, you also, or if you choose just to go Sunday, you run the risk of people selling out, because there was another potter. She had 3 things left on Sunday.
Yeah.
Completely wiped out. So this happens a lot, I think, is people just go crazy on Saturday buying, and then nothing's left on Sunday. There was, I would say too, like so the website, I'm going to say, and I can't be too critical of this because I suspect it's volunteers are doing the website, but the information about what's happening, who the vendors are going to be there, or the classes thing, it's not posted very, I think, don't quote me on it, but I think it was posted maybe 3 weeks before the festival. I mean, it's not very, they don't give you very much time. And so that was kind of disappointing. It would have been nice to know. And then it'd been nice too when they had the vendors listed that you could just click on a link that would take you to that vendor, but it doesn't. You have to look every single one up, so that's kind of an odd, but I think it's probably they don't have the time to do it, the payroll, the staff to do it probably. And the other thing that was sort of disappointing that we could not find, this is not to say it doesn't exist, but we couldn't find a place where you could just gather and knit together. There was a lot of benches, and people were sitting on like walls, like retaining walls. There were some places that were set up just for eating, where the food stalls were, but there didn't seem to be like a big marquee set up where if it was raining, you could get in there, or if it was really hot, you could get in there, and you could just have chairs set up where you could sit with other knitters and knit and socialize. That would have been kind of nice, Other things, though, I thought were really well organized, like the parking. It's just a big grassy field where everybody park, and they had a lot of people out there directing you, telling you exactly where to park. And then when you're leaving, they had people out on the highway stopping traffic to let people out and keeping all of that controlled. And they did a great job on that. And the restrooms too, when you would go in, they didn't bring any porta potties in. It was just the restrooms they have on the fairgrounds, and huge, really long lines at the women's restroom. Right. The men were just going in and out, but the women's restroom, really long lines. And I thought, oh my God, how is this? How are we going to do this? They went really fast. Maybe you waited 10 minutes to get into the restroom, because inside the restroom, all the stalls were numbered, and they had people in there directing people which stalls were open to just keep the flow going. And they were constantly cleaning and restocking. So they had music playing, and they did a really good job. I was really shocked. I thought, this is so disorganized. Why don't they have porta potties? And then when I actually used the facility, it was very, very well done. I was impressed by that. They had a great museum too set up. That's, I think, on the fairgrounds year round, where they have like farm equipment, and there's people doing crafts. Women making braided rugs. They had like a grocery store set up, and a mill set. They had all these different things set up, and they had in the center a loom set up. So these old looms from 1800 that people were actually a couple, they were weaving on them. So that was really interesting to see that. So it was just like there's aspects of it that were super fun. And then some parts of it were kind of like, oh my God, this is too much. I'm going to turn around here because I'm going to tell you what I did not buy any yarn at the festival itself. Because it's kind of hard with those crowds, it's difficult to make decisions, to buy a quantity of yarn for anything. But do you remember when we went to Stitches one year, and there was a woman who was in Brooklyn, New York, and she was selling bumps? Yes. And the company is called Loop. Yes. Loop Fiber Studio. She was there, and she she's been at Stitches a couple of times where she's had yarn as well. But last time at Stitches, she didn't have the bump. This festival, she had the bump. So I came home with a bump. And then I bought, I bought 3 braids from a company called Into the World. And I bought 2 braids of blue face Leicester. One is kind of all shades of gray, and the other one, it has the sort of the same dyes of the gray, but it also added kind of a pumpkin color in there. Oh, nice. So I thought that would be kind of interesting to ply those together. And then the same company, Into the World. I've never heard of this fiber before. It's either Striken Lonk or Stricken. So it's Striken, and then the second word is Lonk. And it's a breed of sheep. Oh, cool. An endangered breed of sheep, I read. So I bought that just to see what that's like to spin.
Yeah.
And then we did visit, so I'm just going to say, oh, I know. And then the other thing I wanted to say too is I met 2 listeners there. And do you remember Jill, who I met in when I was staying in Alexandria, Virginia, when I did my DC trip? She came up and said hello. So I saw her. And then the other listener I met was Casey and her husband, Nick. And I'm sorry, I got a picture of Jill and I together, but I'm sorry, I completely forgot to get a picture of Casey and her husband and I together. But I wanted to thank both of them for stopping to say hello. It was nice to meet them. Yeah. That was really nice. And I would say the other thing about going to the festival is, of course, it's a New York State wool festival. So they have a lot of sheep that we don't have. Right. So that's they have different fibers. So that was fun to see that. I think that's all I really need to say about the actual festival. The other thing I just want to say, we did visit 2 yarn shops. One was Cornwall Yarn Shop in Cornwall, New York. And Gail, I believe is her name, is the owner of the shop, and she actually she has her own line of yarn called Hudson Valley Fiber. And I bought, of course, Kelly, what do I always buy when I buy yarn? Yes. So I bought a sweater quantity of, this is, it's New York State Romney. And so it's 40% Romney, 60% merino, kind of a heathered. And she has this, these heathers are all named after birds. So I got kind of I think you would call this fig, that purple that's kind of brown, kind of, and it's called Purple Finch. So I think I'm going to make a sweater that I got enough that would be the body, and then color work in just one color. In the colorway is Morning Dove. Oh. And these are called Mudna Heathers. And so I bought a sweater quantity of that. And then the other thing I bought, because I thought she said this is her passion project, is she has fingering weight, and it's called Bear Mountain Sock by this Hudson Valley Fibers. And it's 100% Dorset. And I've never seen Dorset yarn before. And she says the reason why this is kind of her passion project is that it doesn't pill. It's good for socks because it doesn't felt or pill, and you can throw it in the washing machine, and it will not shrink. Wow. She says don't put it in the dryer, but you can put it in the washing machine and it will not shrink. So I bought it. The color, I got indigo for myself, and I'm going to send this to you, Kelly, if I ever get to the post office. Monarda. It's kind of a rose color for you. I bought.
Cool.
So I have to get that in the post, get over to the mailbox to send that to you. And then the other shop we went to is in Cold Spring, New York, called the Endless Skein. Really, really nice shop. I didn't buy anything significant there. I bought some cables for my interchangeable needles. And I also bought, because I'm working on the emotional support chicken for Ben, and I don't like my beak and wattle colors, they have little packs for $4 of the perfect color for beaks and wattles. So I bought that for $4.
That's funny that a yarn shop would have specialty beak and wattles for your chicken.
Yes.
Very cute.
So I bought that, and so that's really all I bought. I really didn't buy very much on the trip. So,
well, I know that was one
so
of the
anyway,
things you had said before you left was that you really didn't. I mean, you had done a lot of yarn shopping prior.
Well, I did yarn shopping on the Alaska trip. I did. We went to Walla Walla. I went to, with Kim, we went with her friends. We went down to, I just mentioned
your trip to Hazelnuts.
Mercantile. Well, we went to Maker's Mercantile with her friends because they go down there every 2 weeks for knitting.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not a retail shop anymore. It's just online, but you can go in there and knit and you can buy stuff if you want. And then, and then they decided they wanted to go to Hazelnuts because they had given her a gift card as a retirement gift. So we all went to Hazelnuts, and that's what I bought the green Wonderland trail to make Ben's hat. So I'm a little yarned out. So it was a fun trip, and it was really fun to see the houses and museums, and we had some great meals and restaurants, and do a little bit of walking in the beautiful fall foliage, which is beautiful. And then out here in the West, we don't have what they have in New York State, which is just these incredible trees that are turning orange, all these quaint houses, quaint villages, quaint stone walls. Everything's just all quaint and twee and charming and old and ancient and historic and and fabulous. So it was a really nice trip.
And you at least have some fall color. Nothing compared to what you saw in the Northwest, but you do have fall color in the Northwest, where really the color we have is a pale yellow brown of the sycamores. That's about it.
Right.
Where I live, in out in nature, in people's in the neighborhood, you might have one tree here or there that's got a lot of color in it, but even those don't have the same vibrancy because we don't get the cold weather. But yeah, our fall color is a pale brown yellow, whereas the pictures that you were showing, like brilliant scarlet and
and actually the camera doesn't even really sort of capture the it was like the whole world then just becomes orange. It's like all the light is orange. I don't know how to describe it. It's very orange there. Just
it's orange.
That sounds weird, but a lot of times I think a lot of times our phones just the other day I took a picture. The sunrise here was stunning at my house, and I took a picture of it, and it just looks sort of insignificant. Like photographs sometimes don't really truly capture the color. I would say the other thing about New York too, New York State, I don't know, we did not go into New York City. I don't know what it's like there, but oh my gosh, people were so friendly and nice. I was maybe not so much with the driving, a little aggressive. There's a lot of weaving through, like crossing the lines and stuff. Like I sort of had a feeling that in New York State, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but those lines are mere suggestions of where you should drive, It's a lot of people like drifting. I'm like, that's interesting. But like everybody in the stores and like the grocery store and everything everybody was super nice and friendly and
sort of more small town.
And
more small town America.
And even our Airbnb, I wasn't going to say this, but I will tell you about the Airbnb. It was a difficult trip planning this trip. And so I'm going to chalk it up to that. But when we were at lunch, we were checking out of our Airbnb on the 18th, where we stayed in Chappaqua to go to Poughkeepsie. And on the 17th, we're having lunch at 2:00 or something. And I get a call from our Airbnb host, like, are you guys okay? And I'm like, we're fine. And she said, well, you're supposed to check out at 10 today. And it's now 2:00. And I'm like, we're not checking out today. We're checking out tomorrow. No. And so when you make a bunch of hotel reservations, I have to remember that the day you check out is that same day you need a check-in date.
Right.
So we were checking on the 17th, so we need a place on the 18th. No, if you check out on the 17th, you need a night on the 17th.
They're like bookends.
So she was very nice because so she was. She saved us because there was nobody checking in until the evening of the 18th. So we could spend the night of the 17th there. So that was just dumb on our part. So,
oh my gosh. Well, I'm sure
funny.
It's easy
but
to
anyway,
do. Making off.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay.
That's a long time to be away. And a lot of moving around that you did.
Yeah.
In and out of places.
Well, and I remember when I made the reservations for the Airbnb, Kim and I were sitting together in her house, and I said, okay, so we want it for this date, right? And she said, yes, we do. And I said, let's check the calendar. We need it. She said, yes. And we all confirmed it. Wrong.
Oh, well.
I know. We were fine. Thank goodness she had the evening free. Otherwise, I don't know what we would have done. We would have figured something out. But anyway. Okay. Well, I think that's everything. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
I don't think so. I think that's probably enough. I'm going to get this out soon. I'm not going to edit. I'm just going to put it all together into the podcast host and see if I can get it out today.
I'm going to say goodbye and get on with things that I have to take care of.
Okay. Sounds great.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit 2usfiberadventures.com.
Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am Better in Motion, and Kelly is 100 Projects.
Until next time, we're the 2Us
doing our part for World Fleece.